Hi, my name is Jenny. I'm a knitter based in Los Angeles, California, and welcome to another episode of the Slow Knits Knitting Podcast. I finally have some finished objects to share with you. Finally, I have been having very unsatisfactory knitting experience for a while, and then I wasn't able to finish anything. So I wasn't able to share any finished objects until now. I finally have quite a few things to share with you. So before we get started, I'm going to talk about what I'm wearing right now. This is the Tuileries top by Knits pour Moi, or Sumin. She is a Korean designer based in France, and I test knit this top for her. I love this design. I have worn it a lot. It is a all over lace negative east vest design. I really like this neckline. I think it's a very elegant looking round-ish. It is round, but it has a little bit of flatness over here. I finished this last year because I have this terrible habit of not doing the finishing bits of a garment. And by finishing bits, I'm not even talking about weaving in ends. I'm talking about knitting armhole bands. I usually just start wearing a top without the armhole bands. That's what I was doing last year, and I count this as a finished object. I actually recently, finally, knitted the ribbings on both sides of these armholes. And I'm really glad I did that, because before, without these armhole bands, first of all, it was not bra friendly, and now it's very bra friendly. This design is a completely bra friendly design. Although I have to say this is all over lace, so there are holes all over this top. So if you really want to see, you can. If you look very closely, you can see through this top, through all the lace details. And the other thing is, before I put on these armhole bands, I noticed this, these two shoulder straps kind of area tend to go inwards a lot. They tend to go inwards a lot. But with the armhole bands, now they sit really nice and stretched open a little bit. So I'm really happy I did that. The other thing I finally did, this is an actual finishing touch, is I actually sewed this whole button band closed, because they used to be a real vest where you can open up. This is knitted flat, but because it's a negative ease top, so I think these little gaps in between the buttons is a little too obvious for my liking. And also it's a negative ease kind of lace top where I would never wear it open. I feel like it just doesn't fit wearing it open. So I don't need it to be an actual open button band. So I actually sew in this whole button band so that it's not gapey over here. So that is what I'm wearing. Let's dive into my first finished object. This is something you've seen in my last video. This is kind of a stash buster shawl. I consider this my first shawl knitting experience, because previously I've knitted 3 small triangle scarf thing. One is the turtle dove shawl for my mom, and 2 little small triangle scarf for my friends. And I consider this to be the first like real bigger shawl, although this one turned out to be not super big. It's still fairly small, I think. If I hold it this way, you can see, I think in terms of a shawl, I think the size is fairly small. If I put it on and show you the back, it's about this length. I do think it's kind of small to wear like over your shoulder like this, because if I wear it, I do want it to provide warmth, and it doesn't provide a huge coverage in terms of both arms and this center area. So I would say this is more a decorative piece. I think that decorative function is a little bit more. I've noticed for me is that I think this looks really good when it goes like this. It doesn't go with my top right now, but you get the gist of it. I think if I tie it up like this, I think it looks really cute this way. This is just, I didn't use a pattern. This is just my impulse cast on slash stash buster. I used random one skeins of yarns that I got from all kinds of random places. This green is a yarn I got from China. This coral color is a yarn I got from Germany 2 years ago. And the brown is also just some random one skein in my stash. And then I was visiting New York. I finished up all the yarn I brought with me, so I had to get something else to continue the project. So this rest of the greenish mustard yellow color is a Isair brushed alpaca yarn that I got from Brooklyn General Store when I was in New York. Overall, this thing is a DK weight. I still think shawl works the best for me when they are fingering weight. So they'll be very lightweight and drapey, and it will sit on your shoulder, sit on your body really nicely and without being too heavy. Just my personal preference. I don't like something too heavy. So I think next time when I knit a shawl, I would definitely want to knit a finger and weight shawl and knit something bigger to get a real full-on big shawl experience. I mentioned the construction of this last time. I cast it from one end. I just do increase on every right row on one side of the fabric, and then I increased to this point, and then I just start doing decrease every right side row. I actually really like this part where I turn it into a see-through fabric. I think it makes it more breezy and lightweight. I don't like this DK weight because it just feels a little heavy. I finally wove in all the ends for the shawl, so that is officially finished for real. My next finished object is, ta-da, this sweater. I was gonna try it on, but then it's getting quite hot right now, so I don't think I will be able to put this on. I've shown this before. This is my own design. If you have seen my really old knitting podcast episodes, you probably would have seen this. This piece started like this because I used a gray cashmere yarn. This main color is the gray cashmere yarn I got from China, and then I paired it with this yarn that I got in Portugal 2 years ago. This is from the Italian brand, I can't think of the name right now. I'll put it on the screen when I find out the name. I thought it's just a random little shop I stumbled upon in Portugal. It's not even a yarn store. They sell some fabric and buttons, and they have a small selection of Italian yarn, and they're all this brand. I think it feels like one of those very old school Italian yarn brand. And a lot of the yarn they have are synthetic fiber or a blend. This one is a blend. It's a 50% wool, 50% acrylic. I just thought first of all, this presentation is just so unique. I've never seen something like that. But turn out this presentation looks very cool, but it's actually not very functional at all if you actually want to use the yarn. So I got 2 of these. I was very excited. I thought this will be great. Some kind of gradient color work or something like that. I end up doing this one. So this was my plan. I started doing the gray plus this as the contrast color. I started with this tip, the creamy color, and then I went down the gradient. I start from the cream into moving to a gray color, which is almost the same as my main color, so there was barely any contrast. And then I moved on to a gray purpley pink, and then to a dark cool tone taupe color. After I finished the entire body with this yarn, and I've shared it in my podcast, here's another clip of what it looked like. I think it does look good. For some people, they probably like that. It's just personally for me, I am not a fan of cool tone colors. Cool tone colors just don't look great on me because I have very, very warm undertone. So this main color, the gray that I have, is already a very cool gray, and adding onto this kind of pink and this kind of taupe, it just made it very dark, just not bright. I prefer something to be very bright on me. I was not happy with it at all. So even though I finished the entire body and I knitted pretty long, I decided to unravel at least, I would say it was 2/3 of the body. I unraveled it, and I kept thinking for a very long time what to do with it. And I end up pairing it with this beautiful cobalt blue. This is also a cashmere yarn that I got from China, and I start doing my own design. This is part of a motif I found from a book, and then I drew my own color chart for this part as well as this bottom little part. And on those sleeves I only did the same checkered. Honestly, part of the reason is I do think this variety makes it cuter. I like the checker. Also, the other thing is I was very tired of this motif. I don't really want to knit more of it, especially on smaller circumference, so I just went with this. And then the bottom has the same bottom motif. I'm really happy with this bottom motif. I like it a lot. I will definitely reuse it, I think. So yeah, I finally finished this piece. This has been a very long-term project. I'm very happy with the results. This one, after blocking, you can see I think the sleeves and all the rest of the color works look very nice and neat and even tension. Usually my color work is very even just because I'm such a loose knitter, so my color work is very even. The only time that I notice my color work not being even is this kind of checkered print. This kind of checkered print, it really bobble up. For example, on the side, you can still see it a little bit, like on the turning edge, you can see a little bit. It really bobble up. So blocking really help with it, especially with sleeves. When it's a smaller circumference, I stretch it when it's wet so that the flows can relax a little bit instead of pulling it. So that is my big finish object that I have for this episode. My last finish object, it might look a little gross to some people, but it is what it is. I finally knitted my first pair of socks. I'm just gonna briefly show you, just because these are so worn that they don't look cute or nice or presentable at all. They just look very worn. So I'm not gonna show too much of this clip or too much of the close-up details. But this is my first sock. Whee! I love this color. This color, oh, it's such a nice, unique, pretty vintage color scheme. This is my own hand dye. I'm gonna insert some photos of what it looked like. It used to be a very different color. I dyed this colorway because I was trying to try something different. Try something that's not really a colorway that I would like. So I dyed up this kind of color, which I don't really like. And I left a lot of white section. Basically more than, I'll insert more photo, I would say more than half of the skein was left white. And the other half was dyed a dark red, dark cherry red, and a very light, bright grassy green. And then recently I was dyeing something black. Afterwards, I realized the dyes still have so much green in it, so I dipped this skein of yarn. I dipped the white part into the leftover dye bath, which has mostly green. So as you can see in this photo, all the white part in the yarn dyed into this, I would say a slightly dirty sage color. Something like that. This kind of dirty sage combined with the cherry red turned out to be a very vintagey vibe colorway, and it's still not something I would wear as a garment, so I thought it's my perfect yarn to try socks. I refused to knit socks for the longest time. I just did not understand it. Now I get it. I am in love with sock knitting. I want to knit so many more pairs of socks. The only problem is because I was never into sock knitting, I never buy any sock yarn. So now I don't have any sock yarn. I just recently bought 2. Yeah, very excited to get started on my next pair of socks. I use the Summerly I'm So Basic socks pattern. Very, very beginner friendly. She also has videos. So yeah, I just follow everything she said. I still don't understand what exactly is gusset, what exactly is heel flap gusset. I still don't understand what those things are, but this is a cuff down heel flap gusset sock. She has sizing instruction for you to measure the circumference of your feet. I guess I measure it too loose. I should have held it really tight because I should have known socks are meant to be pretty tight. So based on my loose measurement, I knitted the second size. So I actually knitted 64 stitches. I think you can tell, especially this cuff, this part is quite loose on my feet. Especially after wearing it a few times, it gets looser. But washing it makes it shrink back a little bit. But still, I can feel this is definitely too loose for me. Next time, I think I will try 60 stitch sock. And I use a 3.25 millimeter. Wait, no, I used 2.5 millimeter needles. That's the smallest I have. And I knit using magic loop. I have worn these socks at least 50 times. So I think it's acceptable and understandable for it to seem so worn. I can see the bottom part, like the part under my feet. I can see that it has felted ever so slightly. And then the rest of the sock has also just peeled quite a bit. The yarn I use is undyed yarn that I bought for hand dyeing, and the company I bought from is called Nomad Yarn. They're a California-based undyed yarn company, and this is a standard 75-25 wool nylon yarn, a sock yarn. Because this is my first sock experience, I don't know, and also this is my only pair of socks that I wear a lot. Like I said, I wear this multiple times a week, and I've worn it for several weeks. I've definitely worn these 50 times, I think. Is it normal for it to pill this much, or is it this yarn that is a very pilly yarn? Please share with me your experience when you only have one pair of socks that you wear a lot. How much do they pill? Because these definitely do pill a lot. So that is my second finished object. That is my third finished object. I have 2 more finished objects that I don't have anymore. I will insert photos. Both of these are gift knits, and these are the same pattern. This is a baby knit. This is the Anna Pinafore. I'm not sure how to say this word. Anna Pinafore by Samantha. Her account name is the Strict Chick. She's an American knitter based in Norway, and she is a knitwear designer as well. She also has her YouTube channel and her Instagram account. I also test knitted this pattern for her. So this blue one is the first one I knitted. I knit a 1 to 2 year old size. So this pattern comes in, I believe, 6 different sizes. And 1 to 2 year is the 5th size, I believe. I knitted this in Rosario's 4 Merino Land. It's a superwash merino yarn for baby, finger and weight. One ball is 50 gram, 210 meters. And I also got this in Portugal. I got, because they only had 3 balls of this blue left, so I got 3 balls. And I knit it in the recommended needle size. I believe it's 3 millimeter. If not, it will be 3.25. This is my first time knitting a kid's garment, a small garment. It's also my first time knitting dress, now that I'm saying it. So the construction is, you start with the waistband. You knit double-folded waistband, and then you do circular increase for the skirt. You just continue increase circularly. And then you bind off, and then you pick up for the front. Because it's a baby knit, the pickup front is such a small, it was such a small square like this. And then you knit the 2 straps. You have to pick up and cast on more to knit the 2 straps. The thing I don't like about the strap method is because she is knitting the strap. So let's say, how do I describe it? Let's say this is a strap. The strap was knitted from a set length like this. You cast on this much, and then you knit up this way, and that became the strap. So the length of the strap is a set length. I do not like this method because you cannot adjust the length. So for the second one I actually knitted the strap this way instead of this way, so that I stop at a point where I think is a good length. Yeah, and then in the end you do a crochet scallop edge for the straps as well as for the bottom of the skirt. I actually did not knit the scallop edge for the bottom of the skirt. For the first one, for the blue one, the reason was I thought I ran out of yarn. So I just did a regular bind off, and then I never pick up anything. I just left it as stockinette, and I blocked it. It didn't curl up too much after blocking, so it was good. Until later I realized the yarn that I thought was left was actually just the second ball of the blue yarn. I have a whole 3rd ball that I never touched. So I did have enough yarn. Oh well, I still like the look of it. Plus the people I'm gifting this dress to, they were visiting us already. So I just want to finish it. So I didn't do the scallop edge. And then for the second version, I used a summer yarn because the first one I was gifting somebody who lived in Germany. So they live in a cold climate, and I did the size for, and I made the size so that I think this winter, probably in Germany, they don't even need winter. It'll probably be around like next month or November, they can already wear this, I think. So I used a 100% superwash merino wool. In the second version, I'm knitting for a baby who lives here in California, and I am knitting a size that I think she can probably wear, I don't know, like now-ish, because now it's still fairly hot. You can still say it's summer, late summer here. So I think she can still wear it here. So the second one, I made the smallest size, and I used a summer yarn. The yarn I use is Juniper Moon Farm Zooey. This is a 60% cotton, 40% linen yarn. And this colorway, I will put it here. I'm not sure what it is. This is a much thicker yarn. So this original pattern is for a finger and weight, but this is a DK weight yarn. So I didn't use the smallest size. I intended to make maybe 3 to 6 month size, and I calculated based on my gauge. I cast on my own stitch count, which is even smaller than the smallest size. And it turned out to be about this size. If you can see the two comparison, one is a 1-year-old, the other one is meant to be maybe 6-month-old. And I used so little yarn. I only got 1 ball of this. I got this in Wool House in Pasadena, and I haven't weighed this yet. I think this 1 ball is a 100-gram ball. I probably used half of it, a little bit more than half of it. This is how much I left. I have left. I picked this yarn because I want to have my own summer yarn summary or review. This is a cotton linen yarn that I have not tried, but it's fairly easily accessible, especially here in America. So I thought I wanted to give it a try, so this is a perfect chance, this baby piece is a perfect chance for me to try this yarn. I do love this color a lot, but I do not love this yarn. With the 40% of linen, you really can feel it. There's no give, there's no elasticity in this yarn at all. You can see my hands, I'm pulling it. My fingers are pulling it. Nothing's happening because there is absolutely no elasticity. And I like the end fabric, and I think it's a great fabric for somebody live in California or Los Angeles. But I just don't love the knitting experience. I think the uncomfortable feeling of knitting cotton or linen kind of yarn, it really get exacerbated when they are a thicker yarn. You really feel it. If it were finger and weight, I don't think it will be as bad. But because it's DK weight, it's just not the most enjoyable knitting experience. So I do not think I will buy this yarn for myself to knit up a garment. Plus, I don't really like DK weight summer yarn anyway. I think it's too thick for where I live. Oh, with this second dress, another thing I changed is, other than the strap, I knit the strap this way. The other thing I changed is the bottom hem. I still didn't do the scallop edge. Instead, I did a little row of eyelets, and I thought it was a little cute touch. So those are the two baby knits and gift knits that I finished recently. Like I told you, I finished quite a few things recently. It's been good. Now we're gonna move on to my whips. The first one I have is my most promising whip that I can finish soon. I cannot really hold it up too much because it is, first of all, I think I've showed this before. I have this whole basket next to my couch where this project just sit in. It's not a very bring it with you kind of project. I have to sit next to this basket of yarn because I change color every few rows, and right now currently it is connected to two colors, one of which is like a little cone yarn, so I am kind of restricted over here. I've also shown you this before. This is, I didn't use any patterns. It's just basic raglan, and I made very colorful stripes with it. I finished the body. Last time I talked to you, I was talking about the body. I used double knitting instead of ribbing for the body just because this is very thin yarn. And so far, I have to say, I do like the effect. It's working pretty well. And I have already finished my first sleeve. I made it pretty balloony. I'm a big fan of balloon sleeves. I love it. You can see a little bit. I did the same thing I did with my dirty caramel sweater. I did a little bit of sleeve increase. So you can see it goes out a little bit because I want to make sure I have a very obvious balloon effect over here. And I did get that effect, so I'm very happy with that. And the second sleeve, I'm already at least 2/3 done. I think I only have a third left, so this is very, very promising. I believe I can finish this very soon. I'm very excited to finish this and wear it. I have mentioned this sweater quite a few times, so I probably won't get into the details. Again, the yarns are all odd skeins that I bought to try it out. Most of these fuzzy yarns are brushed wool or brushed alpaca, but I did try a few silk mohair. I used to be very sensitive with low tolerance. I could not use silk mohair, so I didn't do it for the longest time. Now I realize I'm still sensitive, but my tolerance is higher, so I start to experiment with silk mohair and to find ones that are really good for me. So if you have similar experience, please share with me your favorite silk mohair. And by the way, I start to add, so I first, with the body, I start with a certain set number of yarns, and then I realize, oh, I have another one of this, and I have another one of this. So with the bottom part of the body, I start to add more colors. And with the sleeves, I also start to add new colors. For example, this one, this is the Isair alpaca I was talking about that I knitted this with. So after finishing this shawl, I still have this much left. I haven't weighed yet. I love this dirty greeny mustard color. So I just recently start to add it into this, my second sleeve. And this color actually looks delicious with this cornflowery blue. They actually look really good together. I'm tempted to make a stripey sweater with these two. Yeah, so these are all odd like cone yarns that I have, random stuff I have, and I'm just experimenting along the way and discovering more color combinations along the way. So I'm sure I'll talk more about it once I finish. I'll share my favorite color combinations that I've come up with throughout this sweater. So that is my longest work in progress so far, and I'm very close to finishing it. The second work in progress is something I casted on. It was slightly impulsive as well. This is before I filmed the video, Everything I Want to Cast On. If you haven't seen it, it's my most recent video. I talk about all the patterns I want to cast on right now. I did this before that. I did this after my last regular podcast where I talk about I feel very unsatisfied with my knitting and I couldn't finish anything. Therefore, I decided to use some chunky yarn to hopefully finish up something quickly. And this is a pattern I have saved for a long time, and this is also a yarn I've saved for a long time. This is the Colette Sweater that look like this. And this yarn is a discontinued yarn that I got from Little Knits. If you're not familiar with Little Knits, they are a yarn company based in Seattle, Washington, or maybe outside of Seattle. And they sell a lot of clean out, discontinued yarn. For example, Cascade have a lot of yarn lines that they no longer do. For example, like this one. So they sell at a discounted price. This is Cascade Chunky Llama. They no longer make this yarn. I got 5 hanks of this yarn, and each hank is 100 gram, 100 meter. At that time, I thought 500 meter of chunky yarn is definitely enough for a sweater. But now I think I'm more experienced and I care about details more, and I really want to make something that fit me instead of just finish it as fast as possible. So I realized 500 meter of chunky yarn is slightly dangerous for me. It's a little bit dangerous. So this is actually a heavily modified Colette sweater. It is a saddle shoulder design, and I already finished first sleeve because my plan is, with my limited amount of yarn, my plan is to finish the sleeves and then use everything I have left for the body to make sure the body is long enough, because this is a chunky sweater. The last thing I want is for a chunky sweater to not protect my belly. And if I don't have enough yarn, I can always find some different brown yarn for the ribbing. I think that's my plan. The most heavily modification I've done with this is I actually changed the stitch pattern. This pattern originally is a modified brioche. When I look at it, I thought it's brioche, but I bought the pattern. It's actually not brioche. It's a modified brioche stitch pattern. I've never seen this pattern before. I don't want to give out too much about it, but there's some modification on a regular brioche or a regular fisherman's rib. And I know that is a stitch pattern that really eats up yarn, and my struggle is my limited amount of yarn. So I change it to something that can give me a similar look but without doing a brioche. What I'm doing is I change it to a 2x1 ribbing. So what you're looking at is actually a 2x1 ribbing. And I'm using 5mm needles. If it's wrong, I will correct myself. I actually cannot remember it at all. This is a problem. I finished my first sleeve. Now there's no needles on it and I cannot remember the size I used. Now that I took this out, I'm very excited to get back to it and finish this one up. I think this will be a very, very warm winter staple. I grab a hank of this yarn to show you. This is the Cascade Baby Llama Chunky I was talking about. I think I remember I first touched this yarn when I was visiting Paris. I was at Little Weasel, and then I touched a yarn because they put everything in those cubicles, and this yarn just stuck out. I touched it and felt how buttery soft it was. I took it out and realized it's a Cascade yarn. That's why when I was shopping online from Little Knits, I knew this is a yarn that felt really, really soft. It does feel very soft. When you knit it, it's very smooth, slightly slippery, and I think the sensation buttery is a very accurate description. But I have to say, even though it feels super soft on your hands, I do feel a tiny bit of prickliness from this yarn, but it's acceptable for me. So yeah, that's the last bit I want to talk about this yarn. Oh, I just spent 20 minutes looking for the needle I used for the project I was just talking about. I looked through my interchangeable needle set, and I think I was actually using 6mm because from my memory I feel like the needle color was red and my 6mm was red. And I thought also that because I want to make sure I have enough yarn, I probably tend to go for a slightly bigger needle size. And then I realized my 6mm was not in my needle set, so I just spent 20 minutes looking everywhere for my 6mm. Was not able to find it until I came back, take out my next whip, my last whip that I was going to share with you. And guess what? My next whip is on my 6mm needles. So it was right next to me this whole time and I completely forgot about it. I was thinking, I'm not knitting any chunky project. Why would I have my 6mm anywhere else? It was on my next project. So my last project is my first time ever knitting I cannot spread it all the way just because the cable right now is slightly too short, so I can't really spread it out all the way. I'm gonna have to hold it like this and share it with you. So this is my first time using one strand of mohair to knit a top. There are multiple designers that have done this kind of very see-through, breezy, big gauge single strand mohair kind of top. I chose to not use any pattern just because I feel like for me when it comes to a basic stockinette project, it's almost easier for me to just think about what to do next instead of open up I usually use my computer or even my phone to open up it and then open up a pattern and then read through all those words. I almost feel like that takes up more effort for me compared to I just do my own thing. I just think what to do next. That's almost easier for me, especially when I'm just watching TV at night. I don't have to open any device to look at the next step on a pattern. I can just think about what to do next. So that's why I'm just doing a simple raglan, no, I'm doing a saddle shoulder. I'm very into saddle shoulder lately, and I feel like there's a lot of saddle shoulder variation that I want to experiment with. This is more of a basic saddle shoulder design. I did 6-stitch saddle shoulder, and then I'm doing sleeve increases as well as body increases. This yarn is my friend's own hand dye yarn. She's a yarn dyer based in China. And this is a very, very soft pink, but not a very cool tone pink. Fairly neutral with a little bit of dustiness kind of pink. And it has bits of yellow spots, yellow and brown-ish spots. And I'm really happy with what it looked like so far. I tried it on a few rows back and it kind of looked like this right now. So this is just a very simple, dreamy, but easy stockinette project. I'm still doing the increases. Once I move past the increase, this will be a simple stockinette project. But I think I'll probably put more time into the other 2 projects to finish those ones first. And then once I finish my stripey sweater, I will cast on my Jenny jacket, like I mentioned last time. That is everything I want to share today for my knitting podcast. Let me know what you're working on right now, and hope you enjoyed some knitting time. See you next time. Bye!